Get them all lifted up on a start there.
getting a new sound system. I signed off the other day. I'd like to welcome you all to the regular meeting, February 7th, 2019. It is 7:01. We are all going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Councilmember Gully.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll do a quick roll call. Councilmember Gully.
Here.
Councilmember Gully.
Here.
Councilmember Parator. Here. Councilmember Cummings.
Here.
Councilmember December.
Present.
Councilmember Kennedy.
Here.
Council President Mantello. Here. 6 present, 0 absent. All right. Before we get into our good news, I did want to report the State of the City report was officially given this past Tuesday at Russell Sage. The mayor did file it with the clerk earlier today, and I want to thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and we look forward to working with you over the next year. Before we go into good news, we have a couple items that we have to add to the agenda, so I want to hit them in case folks want to speak on those. We're going to go right to, bear with me, Resolution 10. Resolution 10. Mara, do you want to read, please?
Resolution appointing Commissioner of Deeds for the City of Troy, Council President Mantello.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Kennedy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Gully. Discussion. Do we have any more to add?
Council President,
Yep.
I just want to make an amendment to the last name, Carol Weaver. Carol is spelled with an E at the end.
Okey-doke.
Hold on.
Oh, wait a minute. What we need to do, well, we should do it right now so how about we'll add the names that you've all been given. I'll just say the name but not the address.
We haven't voted to put it on.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Do we have a second?
We have a second.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, do we have a motion for an amendment?
Sorry, we have to vote to put it on.
Well, first we have to give the amendment prior to the floor.
You can't, it's not on the floor. Sure, whatever.
Do we have a motion to amend?
I will make a motion.
Beautiful. Councilmember December, do we have a second?
I will second the amendment.
Beautiful. Councilmember Kennedy, second. So we are going to amend with the names that you've been given. Mary Hagee, Timothy Kennedy, Carmela Mantello, Kimberly McPherson, Laura Ravenel, and Carol Weaver, and Carol is with an E. Thank you. All in favor on the amendment?
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor on the amended resolution to put on the floor?
Aye.
Okay, so Resolution 10 will officially be added. We will go to Resolution 11.
Resolution by the Troy City Council supporting and endorsing the City of Troy, New York in its grant application to the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation for invasive species removal at the Tom Hannock Reservoir. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Gully. This is to take a vote to put it on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
President,
Yes, Councilmember
be
Cummings.
added as a sponsor on this as well.
Absolutely.
And maybe good since it's a grant application to all sponsor it. I don't know.
Would everyone like to be co-sponsors?
Yes.
Or if you could add everyone, that'd be great. Awesome. Okay, so it is added. Resolution 10, Resolution 11, Resolution 12.
Resolution accepting the resignation of Councilmember McGrath, Councilmember Kennedy.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion, Councilmember December, second, Councilmember Parator. Discussion. We had talked earlier regarding this resolution. Just so folks are aware, per New York State Public Officers Law, for local municipalities, when a member of the town, village, or city council, or even the county resigns, the resignation letter goes to the clerk of that particular municipality. Mr. McGrath's resignation, which occurred effective February 4th, was officially filed with the clerk. Additionally, I did sign off of his,
Personal election form.
correct, and so I signed off. There is no one right now in District 2C. It is officially vacated. I did inform Councilmember Kennedy that this resolution is essentially a nullity, but you still want to present this reso, correct? Yes.
Yeah, I believe because the informal nature of his resignation by submitting an email and where the word resign was buried within, I believe it is important to formalize his resignation and for the community officially accept it as the city council that oversees both the reappointment process and the laws of the city. So, yeah, I think I would still like to sponsor this resolution.
Yeah, and I'm not going to haggle over it. I mean, there has not
Well, you already are.
been a council member in that seat. It was effective February 4th per New York State law. New York State law certainly supersedes our charter, but stating that I will support this because I just don't think, since it has no bearing and it's essentially a nullity. Further discussion? All in favor to put it on the agenda? Aye. Opposed? Mark?
Added 6 ayes.
Okay, so resolution 10, 11, and 12 have been added. Resolution 13, I'd like to just talk to folks. Resolution 13, as many folks know per the charter, the council ultimately has the final say in terms of the vacancy for Councilmember McGrath. After speaking to folks and contacted by various folks over the last week, I thought it'd be a great idea to appoint a special committee per our rules, and we've done this for other important issues such as City Hall and other issues. The special committee, my proposal was to have 2 folks, a minority and a majority member, and 5 folks from District 2. District 2, their district is 30% African American. I sat down with the Pastors Alliance, the African American Pastors Alliance of Troy, yesterday, Reverend Burks, and we had a great conversation in terms of the filling of that vacancy. Stating that this evening, Reverend Burks and I had a discussion, and I received an email, and some other folks would like to vet the committee a little more. If the committee is decided not to be the root, as was if the committee was the root, the ultimate say is and will be the council of us. If there were by chance a 3-3 tie, the mayor would have the tiebreaker. So essentially, I've been asked to table this for the time being so folks from District 2 can talk about how they'd like to proceed. If the committee route is not the route that District 2 would like to proceed and just hand it to the council, that's fine too. I saw it as being more inclusive, more open, rather than just a handpicked person from a political party. So saying that as the sponsor, I will withdraw the resolution for this evening. And if folks want to talk about it, they could talk about it at the end of the meeting. It will not be on this evening's agenda. While I do withdraw it, I just would ask, because, you know, Councilmember Gully and I were in the minority. Do you have a sense, Councilmember Cummings, like how you and the majority, the 3 of you, would like to proceed? Have you talked about that? I'm certainly not naive. You know, the votes are in your hand. We'd like to obviously be included, but more importantly, District 2, being 30% African American, having the largest African-American population here in the city of Troy. What is the idea if a committee is not the choice of even the council?
Council President.
Council member.
We are, the city charter is very clear on the processes of a vacancy, section C, part D, section C1, part D of the charter that you have. That being said, it is the ultimate goal of the council to ensure that we have an open process and are seeking qualified candidates for the position of city council, for the open position. We are accepting applicants from the district to submit their application, and I'm gonna face the crowd right now so everyone hears. We are requesting applicants who are interested in this position to submit their resumes to the city clerk's office. We are very well aware of the makeup of the district, and we think it is important that there is representation and a reflection of that seat to be having input from the community members that are part of that process, and we are open to that process. So we are looking forward to having a dialogue and to ensure that we can move forward in a way that best unifies the city.
It sounds great, Councilmember December. How is the dialogue going to progress? I mean, do you have a timeline? Clearly, folks are going to send resumes to Mara, our city clerk. Is there a timeline? Do you plan to put it in the paper, on our website? I mean, how is this going to be open and inclusive?
The process is going to be open and inclusive in the ways that our city charter dictates. We don't need to change the rules from what currently exists, and we are actively seeking input from all members of the community. As I mentioned, as I just mentioned right now, we are seeking resumes from all potential candidates who can reach out to the city clerk's office, and I would encourage as many candidates who are interested in this position to do just that. And that being said, we are looking forward to ensuring that we can have representation in the district and move forward from what was an incredibly unfortunate and hurtful language that was coming from our former council member. You know, as the only person of color on this council myself, you know, I can relate to the language that was used. It's hurtful, and I'm not going to speak for the Black community. I'm a person of color, but my color is lighter skin, so I have privileges in that regard too. What I will say is that type of language has no place in the city council. Our city council members should be held to a higher standard, and I'm glad that our former colleague resigned. He did the right thing by doing so. We need to heal these wounds. And we need to move forward in a way that we can do just that.
I agree. And just so folks are aware, you know, folks are thrown out, violate the charter, etc. Ultimately, the council has the final say. The proposal that was on the agenda tonight did not deter from that whatsoever. What it did, it added a committee per our rules, a special committee, because I agree with you, Councilmember December. This is unique. I was on the council for 3 terms in my 20s. This is my 2nd term, and quite frankly, during my tenure, I've never had a vacancy. I've never had a council member vacate a seat. So for us, I think under these circumstances, I thought it was very unique. It was very hurtful. And that's why after the Pastors Alliance reached out to me and many folks from District 2, I said, you know what? This is unique. This is different. Let's have a special committee that essentially vets people, but more importantly, gets the input from that district to talk to people. They know what type of person they want to sit in that seat. So I thought it'd be a great idea to get a committee. Ultimately, That committee could have come with 2 people, 3 people. The committee could have said, you know what, we really don't want to come forward with anyone. Ultimately, we have the say. And I get it, there's 4 council members from the majority, and the 4 council members, you guys kind of hold the cards. For me, it was more just get the community involved. But saying that, yes, council member.
Did you talk to any of the other council members before you put this
I
idea
did.
together?
I did. I talked to Councilmember Gully. I talked to Councilmember Cummings
Beforehand?
the night of the State of the City council
Just
member.
well after.
So,
Did you,
It's like-
you made a statement that you
Yeah.
put this proposal forward after speaking with the community?
actually, if you recall, I sent him an email. So maybe if you looked at your email, you would have seen my proposal. But saying that,
Council President.
Councilmember Gully.
Yeah, okay. Let's get past all this, okay? We're at a point where we need to define where we're going. It has been tabled, it's been withdrawn off the chart for tonight. Let's just say this, you're right about the charter, we have to follow the charter. The charter is in how we fill a vacancy by appointment through the council. There's no language in the charter that says how you determine what those individuals are that are gonna be respectively looked at for that position. I think that the council president's thought, as again, there's always a pitch and a delivery, but I think the thought was just to be inclusive to the members of that district. I don't think there was any harm or foul to say that she wanted those people to select the person just to work with everybody to kind of get the information. But as we move forward, what I would ask, and I know, let's face it, in this world, in this table, the 4 majority members have the final say. I would just ask that you would include the minority members so we could at least maybe give some objective conversation on the members, and maybe a golden nugget comes up. If we're included, I'd appreciate it. If we're not, I understand it, but let's move on.
And all I would ask in a final note, please, if you are going to ask folks from District 2 to apply, please put it on our website, put maybe a statement out, a timeline. Obviously, I don't know if you're looking 2 weeks, if you're looking to appoint in March. That would be helpful. The more open it is, the better. And like Councilmember Gully said, we would just ask that you include us. Okay? All right. Now we do some fun things. We have a couple of good news, folks, that we'd like to recognize. So I would ask the council to join me. Hi, everyone. This is one of our favorite parts to recognize outstanding folks and folks in the community who have really gone above and beyond, whether it be volunteer, whether it be community activists, getting involved in your neighborhood. And the first folks I want to invite up here, and I would ask Councilmember Parator to join me. We would ask for a couple of folks to come up. Caitlin Steinminer, Judith Smith, Executive Director and President of the Board of the Literacy Volunteers of Rensselaer County. I'm going to hand it off to Councilmember Parator to introduce these 2 wonderful folks. And please come up, join us. Beautiful, you're welcome.
So this is Caitlin Steinminer, the President of the Board of Directors, and this is Judy Smith, the Executive Director. Just on a personal note, one of my very first ventures into community service was to be a literacy volunteer. In the early 80s, I tutored a woman who was at one of the downtown apartment complexes. She had children in grammar school, and she was only at a 2nd grade reading level herself. And she wanted to be able to read her children's homework and help them with it. And I've worked with her for almost over a year, and it was one of the most fulfilling things I've ever done. So if it's in your heart to be a literacy volunteer to help someone gain that, really something we should all be able to do is to read and write and to communicate. It's definitely worthwhile. So this is the certificate of commendation to literacy volunteers of Rensselaer County. Whereas Literacy Volunteers of Rensselaer County was founded in 1968, and whereas for over 50 years they have helped to build a more literate society by providing free, confidential tutoring to adults and teenagers, and whereas they serve more than 200 learners each year with programs in reading, writing, English as a second language, math, and financial and computer literacy, and citizenship preparation, the City Council hereby congratulates and thanks Literacy Volunteers of Rensselaer County for 50 years of service to the citizens of Rensselaer County. And I'm going to turn this over to Judy Smith, who might tell us a little bit more. I know there's a couple of important events coming up that you might want to promote.
Okay, thank you. And I thank the City Council on behalf of our staff, which is only 3.5 of us, and our board, and of course our volunteers and our tutors. As the commendation mentioned, our mission is to teach our out-of-school teens and adults to be able to read, write, and or speak English. Each year we serve about 230. When we were founded 50 years ago by 4 women, not too far from here at the First United Presbyterian Church there, they saw a need and they responded, and they served 12 students that year. So we would like to think that the need had gone away, but obviously it has not, and it continues. We do provide, as the commendation mentioned, one-on-one and small group tutoring, and we also include other types of programs as the years have unfolded, which mentioned our financial literacy. We do a program with the YWCA. We have a children's program, Everybody Wins, which is in, I think, 3 or 4 of our Troy City schools. Program called Everybody Promise Lunch. It's really a fun program, actually. People go over at lunchtime and read to the children to help develop their reading skills. But we also prepare students for citizenship. We help them if they're looking to work on their high school equivalency, and all of this is done at no cost to the student. If you think about it, in New York State, there's I was looking this up this afternoon to make sure I have my numbers right, 3.4 million, in New York State we're talking, individuals who lack their high school diploma or English proficiency or both. So it's pretty significant. If we bring it home closer, 30,000 individuals here in our county that perhaps have trouble writing a note to their teachers, to their children's teacher, can't fill out a job application, or even read directions on a medicine bottle. And so as you can imagine, the impact of having such limited and low reading skills impacts their ability to get a job. If they get a job, to be able to improve that job, as well as making health decisions about their health, their self-esteem, as well as being able to contribute to the community, coming here to speak their mind, to defend their needs in the community. We're always in need of tutors. As Colleen said, she certainly was able to, she had a wonderful experience. So in fact, a little commercial, we have a tutor training coming up in March. You can find all that information on our website of Literacy Volunteers, Rensselaer County. And we also, of course, as a nonprofit, have fundraising needs. And we have, so if you can't maybe help us as a tutor, you might be able to support us in some other way, like attending one of our events. We have a Scrabble Challenge coming up on February 17th at St. Michael's Church Hall, which is a lot of fun. And then we have Famous Ladies Tea up at the Hilton. And then I think the run is the next one. So the literacy run out at the Spodak State Park. So I thank the council very much, and we wish we could go away in terms of not needing our service, but we have 65 adults waiting for a tutor right now, so we'll continue to expand.
Oh my
I
I just want to say thank you for inviting us. It's a wonderful thing to be part of the Troy community for the last 50 years. So thank you.
It's amazing that you have 65
I know.
folks
Yeah.
waiting.
We had 75 now because we trained some new tutors. It's now 65. It'll probably go right back up in the next 6 months.
Unbelievable.
And you really only have to commit to an hour or two.
Yeah, Mike, do you mind real quick?
Well, to be a tutor, the training does take about 16 to 18 hours. We try to do it in the evenings, daytime, we can work around your schedule, but we do ask a commitment of a year. And it's only about an hour to 2 hours, that's correct, a week. We can meet at Troy Public Library. We actually we have a new office now on the Sage campus, which is really very convenient with lots of good spaces for tutoring, so.
Let's give it up. Wow. Awesome. I mean, just totally incredible.
Oh, yeah, sure. Senator Neil Breslin's office had a certificate for you as well that they wanted to present.
So nice. Don't leave yet. Thank you again. Just one more round of applause for the wonderful work that you did. And then we'll just get a quick picture. Yeah.
Well, Yep, you're good, you're good.
Sorry.
Sorry, that's a good idea.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Amara.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Thank you for all you do. Thank you. All right, next up, we would like to ask Billy Carter to join us and anyone that is with Billy Carter. Awesome. Don't be shy. Thank you. Thank you so much. I feel like we do this every year. Awesome. Well, first, who do you have with you, sir? Come here. Don't be shy. I do. Oh my gosh, you grew. Wait a minute. 3-4 inches? Here, go ahead. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm his daughter, Selena Carter.
Oh.
I am Lucille, the significant other.
Hi, I'm Minister Deontay God.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, a minister. Oh boy.
Congratulations.
Jeez, now I feel old. Okay. Billy Carter. If you don't know Billy Carter, get to know Billy Carter. He's just an amazing person here in the city of Troy. Whereas Billy Carter of Kingdom Ministries has devoted countless hours to providing food and clothing to the impoverished residents of Troy. And whereas in December of 2018, he hosted the 7th annual Christmas Day dinner and toy giveaway, providing dinner, you ready for this? 200 people, and delivering 45 meals. Meals to the Senior Citizens Complex at Burns Apartments. And whereas he has collected and distributed dozens of coats to the children of Troy, we actually have one of our boxes out here from time to time in an effort to ensure that any child who needs a coat can get a coat. The City Council hereby thanks Billy Carter and his folks for his exemplary service to the city of Troy. Billy Carter is an inspiration, and his great generosity certainly inspires all of us here in the city of Troy. Billy Carter, folks. All right, actually, why don't you say a couple words and then we'll let that go.
It's a privilege and an honor to be able to serve in the city of Troy. What I found out in serving is that even the poorest person in Troy loves the city of Troy. Everybody in Troy deserves to reach their full human potential. No stumbling blocks need to be placed in through racial slurs or through invisible barriers. So we strive to level the playing field for everybody. Through the food ministry, through serving people, we find so many other needs, and we try to address those needs. And I'd also like to ask one other person to come and join me. And I really would hope that you give her a great hand. It's Miss Renee Powell. She's the new president of the Troy University. Renee has labored hard with me over the last year to get the Troy NAACP up and started again. It's been a great year. We got it back into compliance. Renee did a lot of hard work. I had an easy job because Renee is a great secretary, but even better now, she's a great president. I'd like to give thanks to a lot of people. You know who you are. I'm glad that I have some church members out here. It's been a great year, especially some of the local politicians, especially Senator Neil Breslin, who donates with his time, with his money, with his wisdom and knowledge. We don't do this alone. It's the businesses and the agencies that help us. Thank you for Monica. She always allows us to put the box out in the hallway where we gather 40 or 50 coats a year. It's a good thing, that box out in the hallway. We actually gave away almost 700 coats this year. Wow. And so I'd like to say that one of the things that we do also is mentorship. And I have a good friend of mine, my right-hand man, Mr. Jared Austin, sitting right there taking pictures.
Raise your hand.
Jared.
Thank you, Jared.
He's my right-hand man. We mentor the 30 boys, and Deontay is our pride and glory. He is a state president. He was a state president of the Junior Layman Association, state president at 15. I think now he's 16, 17. But watch what I'm going to turn the microphone over to him for a second on the speaker.
Good evening, everybody, to the officials, to everybody. I just come basically just to applaud Brother Billy Carter. What most of you don't know is that he is a Christian, as most of you don't know. He is a Christian, and as the body of believers of the Christian faith, we believe that we often have some flavor. We often have some salt, and there's a scripture in the Bible where it says that you should have some flavor. It says you are the salt of the earth, and that's what Brother Carter is. He has salt. He is the salt of the earth, and without salt, you have no flavor. And just like flavor brings out the value, the taste of the food, that's what we as Christians believe that we do in this world. We like to bring out the flavor, meaning that we like to bring people hope, bring people encouragement, and we like to help people in any way, shape, or form. And that's basically what Billy Carter has done for this Troy community and in Albany. He has taken on a great responsibility with young men, even with some females. He has fathered them, he has cared for them, he has shown them unconditional love in a way that I can't even explain. It has been a pleasure knowing him, and he really works behind the scenes. And as Christians, our one of the prime goals that we have are to know Christ and to make Christ known. And making Christ known goes beyond all things. Goes beyond all things. It means that you go through hell and heaven. It means that you go through some valleys and some good times. And Billy Carter has not given up on any young people, any parents, nothing. He has been an encouragement to my life and to several young men. And I just want to congratulate him and just to really say, job well done. And we thank you, the Troy community, the Albany community, the Schenectady, and he works even with some state people in our state convention, which goes all the way to New York City, Syracuse, Buffalo, Rochester. He goes all around. So we just want to say thank you. We appreciate you, and job well done.
Billy Carter, folks, Billy Carter. Deontay, do you live in District 2? Billy, we all, and on behalf of the City Council, I think all of us in this room, and on behalf of the City of Troy, we thank you for your commitment, your dedication, your passion. Keep going, don't stop, and thank you for people like Deontay. Thank you so much, and Renee, thank you. Thank you.
Renee, would you like to say something?
Yes.
Yes, I would. Thank you very much. Yes, okay. Well, I would like to also thank Billy for his leadership. If it wasn't for him, the NAACP would not be where we are right now. And his involvement and his energy is what got me involved, and his commitment. And so, having said that, I want to continue the legacy and to keep it going. And I would like to invite all of you to come out to our meeting on February 28th, which is held at Christ Church on State Street, 35 State Street. Come out and be a part of the NAACP. We're about social justice and equality for our community. So I'd like to invite you all to that. Thank you very much.
Date and time one more time?
February 28th, 6:30 at Christ Church, 35 State Street in Troy.
And Renee, do you
Yes.
need to be a member? Do you sign up? How do you sign up? Website, all of that?
Okay, so you can sign up on the internet at naacp.org. You can sign up as a member there, and when you do sign up, use unit number 2182. You probably won't remember that. So I encourage you to come on out to the meeting. We would love to see you, sign you up right then and there, and fellowship with you and get you involved in some of the programs that we're trying to put in place to help the community. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have one more commendation.
And once again, the Senator Neil Breslin did have a certificate for you as well, so thank you for your work.
Ladies and gentlemen, Billy Carter and folks, thank you so much. We're going to all squeeze in. Squeeze in. Right here. Here, we can squeeze in.
All right.
All right, here you go. Got us? You back there, Jim? Can I see you? Thank you, Jerry. Ladies and gentlemen, some really special people. Let's give them all a round. Thank you again. Thank you. While folks are getting situated, we do have a resolution to celebrate Black History Month, and that is the month of February. There are posters in the back. And Therese, are you here? I don't see you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. We have we just turned the heat down out in there also. Thanks, Monica. Once again, we just want to thank all the folks for the good news. I know it takes up a little time, but it's so important to recognize really special people. Mara, local law is not on. We need local law on to introduce it. No, that was finance. It has to be introduced tonight. We are going to put just a copy of local law 1 on the back table. It is not being voted on tonight. It is only being introduced. What it is, can somebody make a copy? Only you?
It'll take you 1 minute.
Okay, we have to get it on the table in the back, and while Mara's getting it, it's local law. The prior charter allowed folks for back taxes to pay in installments. The new charter that was put into effect as of July 2016, unfortunately did not include that particular section to allow folks to pay installments for their back taxes. A local law has a different process. You actually have to have 3 public hearings. You have to introduce it at a regular meeting, which we're doing tonight. It will be voted on in March. I will announce the 3 public hearings while we're waiting for Mara to get a copy to ensure that it's officially introduced publicly. The 3 public hearings will be, and if the council hopefully is okay with this, our first public hearing will be February 13th at 6 p.m. following the law committee meeting. The next public hearing will be at 5:45 prior to the finance meeting on February 21st. And then the final public hearing will be Thursday, March 7th at 6:45. So those will be the 3 public hearings. Andy, I included you in the email. You don't need to be at all of them. But maybe the first one if there's questions. You or even Mr. Caruso, I think will be fine. Okay, cool, thank you. So the local law is on the back desk. If you do want to take a look at it, it is now officially introduced. We do not vote on it, it's for introduction only, okay? All right, we have our vacancy list, and now I would open it up to a public forum. The first public forum is for anything on this evening's agenda. We did add those 3 resolutions, and I once again want to say the committee resolution to fill vacancy to District 2 has been withdrawn. But would anyone like to speak on any item on the agenda this evening? You will have 5 minutes. Please state your name and address. Thank you. Okay. What?
Good evening, Peggy Konak, 114th Street in the fine neighborhood of Lansingburg in the great city of Troy. It wouldn't be right for me to actually come down to these council meetings and not get up here and talk, right?
Right.
Right. Okay, so we're gonna do this the short way, the way I used to do it. On ordinance 1, I'm in favor of reconveyance. On ordinance number 2, anything the water commissioners need, we want them to pay us for that water. Let's do this. It's all good. Ordinance number 3, the special revenue for the Homeland Security. Love the idea of that, so I'm all in favor. Ordinance number 4, the closure of the capital projects. Man, isn't it great that we're finally closing all this old stuff? What a great job is being done in that comptroller's office. Thank you, Andy. So following up with that, I'm also in favor of 5. I'm in favor of 6. And transferring the funds in 7. Flip the page. Again, on 8, it's all good. 9 is all good. Ordinance 10 is good. Ordinance 11, I'm always a little hesitant when we're selling stuff. If I recall correctly, it was a couple of vehicles we're selling. Yeah. Hey, if we can find a buyer, more power to you. So I'm in favor of that as well. As far as resolutions are concerned, I've always been supportive of the Stop DWI enforcement programs and have had the privilege of working with folks on that previously. So I am in favor of 4 and 5. I'm certainly in favor of number 6 because I'm all about the green energy, all about being clean and taking care of where we live. Number 7, absolutely, positively in favor of that. I've always been confused, though, why we need to do a resolution for something that's pretty standard. Number 8, contract with Colorado City Auctions. I have not had the option or opportunity to review exactly how the city has benefited from the relationship, truly. But I am familiar with the company and have full faith and confidence in them doing the best job they can for us, so I'm in favor of that. Resolution number 9, in regards to the pool, that has to do with the water and the sewer, that's all good too. Number 10, man, can you tell it's election year?
Early too.
Way early. Way too early, but hey, you know what? All in all, it's a better way to do it. Keeping it all together, it makes it easier for the voters. So yes, I'm in favor of the Commissioner of Deeds. Resolution 11, in support of the grant application. Again, environmental conservation, and it has to do with invasive species at the Tom Hannock Reservoir. One of Bill and I's favorite spots when we get the little wild bug and need to get out of the city is to go to a spot on the Tom Hannock Reservoir. And when I drive out to see my son now, I drive by that spot. So anything that takes care of that takes care of my heart. So I'm 100% behind that. Resolution 12. It broke my heart. I've known Mark an awful long time. Not once in all the years I've known him have I heard him use that language. Maybe he knew better than to use it in front of me. And anyone that was involved with me in the early years of getting Central going again knows that we had a strong, firm rule. I don't care what you call people outside that fence, but you don't use that language inside our complex. Very disappointed in that. And sadly, whether we want to or not, to admit that it's there, even if you don't see it. And I'm going to make an admission here publicly that I've never admitted before. There is a reason I am not president of Troy Central Little League. And the reason is because I made that same mistake. Now, there wasn't an ER on the end of the word. It was an A, because I was trying to confer it as, hey, bud, hey, friend, hey, pal. Yeah, it doesn't fly. That language has no place. No place to be used. I've never publicly admitted that that's why I chose not to continue and seek re-election as president of Troy Central Little League. It wasn't appropriate. It is vitally important that that program served the people it needed to serve, and they had faith in the person that was leading the program. And I believe Matt Henderson has filled that role abundantly so. And since that's the end of the agenda items, I guess I'm done for now. And I'm going to be honest, I'm going to save those 5 minutes and pass it to somebody else at the end of the meeting, because I got a show coming on at 8 o'clock I want to go see. Have a great night, and thank you. Thank you for taking the time to serve. It's important.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Peggy. Thank you, Peggy. Would anyone else like to speak on any item on this evening's agenda? Okay, we'll close the first public forum and we'll go into our local law. There is a local law, please, if you'd like. It's local law 1. It's at the back of the desk, introduction only. Ordinance 1.
Ordinance authorizing and directing the reconveyance of 165 Hutton Street. Council President Montello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember December. Discussion?
Council President,
Councilmember Cummings.
first I just want to ask if Maxine happens to be here. I know she was informed of the.
Hi,
if you could
Maxine.
Come up, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be great. It's a little unorthodox, but we need to hear from you. Hi, Maxine. Hi.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for joining us.
You made it all the way,
I had a rough couple of years.
I guess. Thanks for coming up. I guess I've been informed you're living in Queens right now?
No, I actually was in Florida.
Oh, in Florida. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, you made a long trip for us. Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess, let's see, a couple things. Certainly, we heard some reports of longstanding code enforcement issues at this site, and challenges getting it ready to be occupied. So I just wanted to give you a little chance to talk about that and what might be different this time around.
Yes. I had over the years had problems.
If you could use the mic, sorry.
I don't know, is it on?
It should be Maxine. Thank you. Yeah, don't be afraid to, get right
Okay.
close to
can you hear me?
it. Perfect,
Okay.
thank you.
I had problems over here getting permit from the city, And I don't know why that was an issue, but when I did get the permit, I was able to get the foundation work completed. When I wanted to get the next work completed with the house itself, I had problems with architects finishing the plan when they said, and it went from a couple of months into a couple of years. And then was out of work, almost paralyzed for about 8 to 9 months. And after I came back, I went into family situation where I lost about 6 family members within 3 to 6 months apart, and I was taking care of my parents, which I just came back a few from there because I convinced my brothers to take turns. So one of my brothers just retired early and is now taking care of my mom, but I was taking care of my parents. And I lost my dad beginning of this year, my younger sister a few months before, my older sister just a few months before her, and then this past year, 3 uncles. But in between that, I was conversing with my architect of what I wanted done, hired people over the phone, and only for them to destroy the place, left garbage all over the place, and then got notice from neighbors and people passing by that the place was a wreck, which I paid people to clean up. And with the family leave and being out of work, I was living off my savings. So everything pretty much fell apart. Now I'm trying to get that back together only to find out that now I have to try to come and fight to get my place back. Doing all that. And I do have a plan of action to go forward because all the materials are still on the property that wasn't sold to complete it. So they're shoved in the garage, in the house, basement, whatever. So it's just a matter of just getting the okay to complete the work.
Okay. Do you have new contractors that are?
I have new engineers, a couple of plumbers and electrician. I'm still trying to find a contractor because I plan to physically be here on site when the work is being done. That way the property and the materials doesn't walk off like they did in the past.
Good. That certainly sounds like an improvement over previous situation. Let's see. The other just question is, I guess, you previously asked for a reassessment of this property to be around $16,000. I just wanted to check in around. You're now offering to pay us $35,000 for it.
I already paid.
You've already paid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we accept this, then that will go through. So I just wanted to check in on that decision in terms of, right.
The thing is, when I was trying to get the work completed, I was given excuses, delays. I was trying to get the work done before there was another vacant building fee issue.
Yep.
And by doing that, I really hired maybe 6 or 7 different contractors and workers to complete the work where they just ran off with the money because I physically wasn't there.
Okay.
And then the architect had a couple of delays, didn't remember me. I came back at the end of the year and it was like, okay, we'll get started. And then I think when I met with her 2 weeks later is when I had my injury. So then everything was faxed or over the phone. And a lot of things that was put in her drawings was not what I wanted. And a lot of things that was done in the house was not okay with me. So there's a lot of things that has to be completely done over.
Gotcha.
Council President?
Yeah, Councilmember Cummings still has the floor.
Just wanted to check, you mentioned that you're planning to be here more to oversee the next phases.
Yeah,
Are you planning to move here during that process or visit a bunch during that process? Do you have a plan yet on that front?
yeah, I will be here. Yeah, it's not planning to. My brother is now with my mom, so he's now her caretaker.
Okay.
So I don't have
So you've
to.
moved to Troy at this point.
Yes. I don't have to be back and forth every couple of months because I'm physically here.
Thank you, Maxine. Councilmember December.
Yeah, thank you, and let me just say, Maxine, thank you for coming to us. I know this isn't an easy thing to do, to be in front of everyone in such a public way, so thank you for being here. I did, my colleague Anasha did just sort of answer the question. I was gonna ask if you had a property manager, but it is your intention to be here in the city, to look over this building, is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. Councilmember Belli.
Maxine, I just want to ask if you've talked to these new people and you've hired these contractors, do you have some sort of timeline as to what you think it might
I
take for
would-
you to complete the work?
Yes, I would like to have everything completed by this summer, no later than August, September. Because right now, I know with the weather, it's difficult to do most work unless it's on the inside. But as far as the outside work, hopefully I can get them started as soon as May, June, where the weather's not a problem.
Great, thank you.
Council President?
Councilmember Cummings, then Councilmember Kennedy.
Is there work that you're ready to start right away, or is it gonna take some time to hire this?
Well, if I have a permit to start work, I can get work started right away. Because right now I had, siding that's been sitting in the weather for the past 3 or 4 years to be put on the house. And I physically came to the building and asked them if that's something that I could have done myself. They said, you don't need a permit for that. But then while the architect was there, she told me there was a stop work order on the house. So then everything was stopped.
Councilmember Kennedy.
Yeah, Council President, can we ask that the applicant, if they have any, submit plans prior to us, like a formal plan and a timeline prior to us voting?
Perfect.
I would
Yeah,
I would
that's
feel more
fair.
comfortable tabling this unless there's a formal timeline and plan established.
Maxine, do you have a timeline for the project? I mean, we hate to obviously table this, but do you have a timeline and maybe a plan? Monica, have you been working with Maxine, or not you personally, but the department?
So
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Oh, sure.
They like to hear. So I think we just need to also make sure that we understand what you're doing tonight.
Right.
Okay, so this is a reconveyance because of foreclosure proceedings. So keep in mind that during that foreclosure process, and Andy, please chime in if I get this wrong. So during the foreclosure process, after we technically own the property now, and there's a 30-day period after that action happens, that the individual or the property owner can actually come and prepay, they can pay their back taxes that are owed to the city. And then it's up to the council to approve that reconveyance back to them. The only action you're doing tonight is to approve the reconveyance of the property
Correct.
and accepting that payment from the taxpayer. I
Correct.
will also, as you're asking some of these other questions, this property was originally bought by this property owner from the city of Troy in 2004. So and while she does have some concerns, and we've heard those tonight, and understanding that she has a plan, but I just want to segregate that from the fact that tonight's action is about accepting those back taxes.
Yeah.
I think the other pieces that you're talking about are something she would have to take up with code enforcement and through that department as well too. And correct, yes.
Perfect, and, and that's why this was a little unorthodox, but I think the council, much to, their follow-up, just wanted to make sure that you're invested, and so saying that, it sounds like you are, but this evening obviously is on the reconveyance only. So I guess to get you moving forward, this needs to happen, but certainly I would encourage council members to follow up in terms of the follow-up of the work on this home.
So
Anything you wanted to add, Maxine?
how would I get a permit to start the work again?
Well, first this has to happen,
Okay.
then the permit process, and if you'd like, I'm sure Monica wouldn't mind later on discussing with you that process in terms of permits and building and code.
Okay.
Okay, fair enough? Okay,
Council President?
yes,
I did
council
have
member.
one other
Yeah.
question, not for you, Maxine, you may sit down, thank you. Maybe for Andy. I think we brought this up last time, do we have, oh no, maybe this would be for Sharon, but I don't know if she's here. Has the council in the past ever voted down one of these reconveyances?
Not to my knowledge.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
only because you're trying to get the property owner that next step to hopefully fulfill the following steps. So further discussion?
Council President,
Councilmember Gully.
Deputy Mayor. If the council had decided to table this tonight, would that not allow Maxine to get the permit that she needs
It
to
will
do the
not
work on the
allow-
property?
Correct,
So
she
So
cannot.
she needs to have the property first.
Yes, there's also, I think there's some legal timelines too as
Yes.
regards to
Sure,
the
and
reconveyance
she's paid the
process.
money, she paid the full 35,000 that she needed.
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right.
And believe me, this is good, it's good to discuss this, but obviously Maxine needs this to take that next step. So,
Correct.
further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 1 passes 6-0.
Okay, ordinance 2.
Ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with the water commissioners for the town of Waterford for the supply of water. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Gully, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 2 passes 6 ayes, 0 noes.
Ordinance 3.
Ordinance amending the special revenue budget to accept a New York State Homeland Security grant for the purpose of purchasing radios and related equipment. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Councilmember Gully, do you have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Cummings, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 3 passes 6 ayes, 0 noes.
I do want folks to know there was a finance meeting for all of this to go through. There was a lot of discussion on each of the ordinances and resos that are in front of you. I strongly encourage you to take a look for the finance for future ones if you're wondering. Ordinance 4, sorry.
Ordinance amending the capital projects to allow for the closure of the capital project entitled 2015 Street Paving. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember December, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 4 passes 6 ayes, 0 noes.
Ordinance 5.
Ordinance amending the capital projects to allow for the closure of the capital project entitled 2016 Street Paving. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Councilmember Cummings, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember December, beat you to the punch. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 5 passes 6 ayes, 0 noes.
Ordinance 6.
Ordinance amending the capital projects fund and general fund budgets to allow for the closure of the capital project entitled Fireboat. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Cummings, discussion?
Council President,
Yes, Councilmember Cummings.
I'll just say it was a pleasure to see that fireboat on the water this summer. It's definitely well needed, having served as the dock master for the marina. I know the trouble the previous fireboat had on the Hudson, and it's good to see a much more capable boat there ready to serve.
Absolutely, and soon our marina, after our seawall's finished, will be up and running. I can't wait.
Looking
Okay.
The low launches first.
Yay! All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 6 passes 6 ayes, 0 noes.
Ordinance 7.
Ordinance transferring funds within the 2019 general fund budget. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Gully, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 7 passes 6 ayes, 0 noes.
Ordinance 8.
Ordinance amending the capital projects fund budget. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember December, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Parator, discussion?
Council President,
Yes, Councilmember Cummings?
this is on the Eagles Ave boat launch and kayak launch. Again, this project is advancing very nicely. It's good to see the progress there. Looking forward to getting some boats in the water in the spring and summer. just encourage everybody throughout the neighborhood. I think it provides a tremendous amount of access to the river there, right at Ingalls Ave, sort of behind Bellinopoly. So check it out once construction's complete pretty soon.
Yes, and it will be a domino impact to much more development in the area. Opening, we're looking at, Monica?
April 1st for your very first vote in the water. No, I'm kidding.
April 1st?
We have a bet with the fire chief. He'll be able to put his boat in the water April 1st.
No way, kayak
Well,
goes in
the
first.
boat launch, the actual water work has to be completed by the end of March. So we're saying your boat can go in the water April 5th.
Is that an April Fools? Okay, no. April 1st. We're holding you to that. Further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 8 passes 6 ayes, 0 noes.
Ordinance 9.
Ordinance amending the capital projects to allow for the closure of the capital project entitled Landfill Pump Replacement. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Perrotore. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember December. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 9 passes 6 ayes, 0 noes.
Ordinance 10.
Did you want to do resolution 6 before you do?
Oh, thank you. Yes, let's go to resolution 6 first. Thank you, Mara. That's our NYSERDA contract, and we're trying to do the reso prior to the ordinance. Resolution 6, please.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with NYSERDA to accept a $180,000 grant as part of the Clean Energy Community Initiative. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Councilmember Gully. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Cummings. Once again, we thank all of you for the work on this. This is awesome. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 6 passes 6 ayes, 0 noes.
We'll hit ordinance 10.
Ordinance authorizing the city to create a capital project and amending the capital projects fund budget to allow funding for said capital project. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Perrotore. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Cummings. Discussion?
Council President.
Yes.
Just the title's pretty vague, so I just want to highlight it. This is a project fund to buy some of the city's first electric vehicles. So that's a good step into the 21st century, and looking forward to seeing how those work for us and saving some money on fuel, doing the right thing by the environment, and great to be partnering with NYSERDA on that project. So thanks to the administration for their hard work, getting us to be recognized as a clean energy community and making us eligible for these funds and allowing this project to move forward. Thanks again.
Council President?
Yep.
I'd like to echo the comments of my colleague. This looks like a promising project for the city, and we're moving in the right direction with our title of the green energy pieces there. I think we're moving in the right direction. Electric vehicles, not only are we replacing some of our vehicles with electric ones, as I understand it from our last meeting, these are also very old vehicles. Some of them being 20 years old. So moving in the right direction. Thank you to the administration for moving forward on this.
Yeah, and LED lighting is on the horizon also, so good work. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 10 passes 6 ayes, 0 noes.
We are going to jump now to resolution 8.
Resolution authorizing the renewal of a contract with Collar City Auctions and Realty, Inc. for auctioneer services on city-owned surplus property. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Perrotore. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Cummings. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 8 passes 6 ayes, 0 noes.
We will jump back to ordinance 11.
Ordinance declaring certain city-owned property as surplus and directing the comptroller to dispose of said property. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Kennedy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Perrotore. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 11 passes 6 ayes, 0 noes.
Beautiful. Resolution 4.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a 2019 Stop DWI enforcement agreement with the County of Rensselaer. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Councilmember Kennedy, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 4 passes 6 ayes, 0 noes.
Resolution 5.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a 2018-2019 Stop DWI enforcement crackdown agreement with the County of Rensselaer. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Councilmember Cummings, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Parator, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 5 passes 6 ayes, 0 noes.
Okay, Resolution 7.
Resolution proclaiming February 2019 Black History Month in the city of Troy, New York. Council President Mantello, council members Parator, December, Gully, and Cummings.
Councilmember Kennedy, would you like to join us now?
As a sponsor? Sure.
Thank you. Please say Councilmember Kennedy. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Councilmember Kennedy. On the discussion, I did want to state, I saw earlier that Frank Robinson, the first Black manager in the major league, actually passed away earlier today. And as someone who was an avid softball player and always wanted to be the first woman in Major League Baseball, I did want to just state that, we certainly thank Frank Robinson for being a trailblazer, and certainly somebody mentioned earlier Black History Month. You shouldn't have to pass a resolution, but it is the tradition of this council to recognize Black History Month. So, thank you. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 7 passes 6 ayes, 0 noes.
Resolution 9.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an intermunicipal agreement with the Albany Pool Communities relating to the long-term financing plan. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Cummings, discussion. I want to thank Councilmember Kennedy. He actually worked with Chris Whalen, head of public utilities on this particular reso. And certainly this is extremely important to not only Troy, but all of the waterfront communities along the Hudson in the Albany Pool. So, further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 9 passes 6 ayes, 0 noes.
Resolution 10, the amended version.
Resolution appointing commissioners of deeds for the city of Troy. Council President Mantello.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Kennedy, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember December, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 10 passes 6 ayes, 0 noes.
Resolution 11.
Resolution by the Troy City Council supporting and endorsing the City of Troy, New York in its grant application to the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation for invasive species removal at the Tom Hannock Reservoir. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Cummings. Monica, I don't think Chris is here.
Yeah,
Is he?
he's back there.
Oh, you are, awesome. Chris, do you mind, quick question? Where are the invasives at the Tom Hannock? Is it in a certain area? Is it along the shoreline?
It's actually the water chestnuts. It's right along the Route 7 side. So when you go up, it looks like Lily has on both sides.
Yeah,
It's actually an invasive species.
sure.
It doesn't hurt the water quality because they only grow to about 5 feet deep, and our intakes are at 10, 20, 30 feet. But it's something that we want to get out of there.
Absolutely, and we're okay elsewhere?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
cool. Thanks. How much are we applying for?
The max is $100,000.
All right.
So we're looking at getting, it's a man-operated boat that actually goes in and actually, it's
Right.
right out of the
Yeah,
bottom.
it's like a harvest type of thing.
Yep.
What is it, 80-20, or is it a full what's the match?
25% match.
Okay,
It'll be 75, 25.
cool. All right. Further discussion, questions? Yes, Councilmember Cummings.
I'll just know I have done a little bit of clearing of water chestnuts with the Clearwater once, and it is not an easy task.
No.
They do come up easily, but they also have very sharp seeds.
Yeah.
So good to get them out of the Tomahannock, and thanks for your work on this.
Yeah, I stepped on a couple
They
before.
hurt.
They're painful. They hurt. Awesome. Thank you, Chris. All right, further discussion? All in favor? Opposed?
Resolution 11 passes 6 ayes, 0 noes.
Resolution 12.
Resolution accepting resignation of Councilmember McGrath, Councilmember Kennedy.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Cummings. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 12 passes 6 ayes, 0 noes.
Resolution 13 is withdrawn. I will now open up the final public forum. We would encourage anyone that would like to come up and talk about what's happening in your neighborhood, what's happening on your block. We'd love to hear from you. Name and address, please. Okay, we are going to close the second oh, please, somebody? Oh, yes, come on up.
Good evening. Peace and blessings to everyone.
Same to you. Thank you.
My name is Messiah. I'm a member of the Justice for Me group that was formed due to a police shooting of my nephew, unfortunately, and a prior police murder. I'm here today. First, I'd like to also say Happy Black History Month to everyone. And I'd like to second most of what my friend Peggy stated. And it took a lot of courage for her to get up here and air her own dirty laundry. So I commend her on that. That takes a big person to admit when you've done something wrong. Now, my thing is, last time I was here, this council, the people down here stated to me that they were going to do something about doing some work at 7th Ave Park. It hasn't been done yet. Now, I've heard from some people that, oh, they put aside money to do it, and we're just waiting on a design. We need the park fixed like today, so we can work out the design issue. My next thing is that it's been a lot of money being spent in Troy, but it's none being spent in North Central. How we plan on fixing the problem if we're not doing anything about it and not putting anything there like a community center that can hamper some of these things, have children to have a place to go, and people will say, well, what about the Troy Boys and Girls Club? What about that? People can't afford it. They can't afford it. We need places suitable for our children. We don't need someone else coming in, buying up the property that's next to the park because it's available now. But if we wait, it'll be utilized for something other than healing my community. Can we make a move on that? Can we vote on that today?
Well,
I see money put aside, in the back of that program, more money going to be set aside for Powers Park. What about North Central? You want the kids, do you want more from them, but you give them less?
Council President,
yes, Councilmember Parator.
am I correct, Monica, that the 7th Avenue Park is starting any day now, right?
It's, the design is done, the vision
Monica,
concept
do
is.
you mind standing? Thank you.
Now, because this is something that I care deeply about as well.
Yes, we all do.
So actually, I was going to actually just reach behind me to the person who I know is on 1 Troy and ask when the next 1 Troy meeting was. We do have a concept that includes a splash pad, a connection up to the bike trail, a redo of the basketball courts, new walk paths, new playground equipment, as well as
Pavilion, right?
a pavilion and bathrooms. We do have the concepts laid out. We got pricing to make sure that we can afford it. We have received a couple grants. Also, we have a donation from One Troy for the pavilion. So we just need to now go out to the public. We worked with the One Troy group on the design of this and with Charles Doyle, who represents the Recreation Committee under that group, as well as James Rath, who is now our planner, who came to us from Capital Roots that did a lot of work around that with the neighborhood. So now that we have a concept, we at least have some budgetary numbers, we can go out and take a look and see if that's what it is. If we're all good, we just need to create construction documents and probably be out to bid during the summer so that we can start the work later in the fall after the summer season is done, because I know it's used a lot in the playground. The way it's designed, the concept is that we can stage it, so we can do one part of the park first so the other side of the park can stay in action, because we know how worthwhile that park is and how utilized it is, so we don't want to shut it down completely. So it's one of those things that we're just ready to go to the public now that we've got some final pricing and we have some money dedicated to it.
Sound good?
That sounds promising. And what about a community center?
I don't believe that that's in the plans, but, you know, certainly, I mean, it's something that could be looked at down the road. I was not aware that a community center was requested. Has it
Yes,
been?
it's needed. It's been needed. It's long overdue.
What about Oakwood Community Center?
Yeah, it's not suitable.
It's not.
It's not suitable. We put our children at risk, bringing them over by the throughway, pretty much, as well as they continue to say that it's an Oakwood Community Center, but the keys are given to nobody in my community. I haven't gotten the key yet.
Really?
Yeah, see, and that's my problem with someone stating that something is for my community's use, but we don't have access to it.
May I ask?
These are the things we deal with.
Okay. May I ask, one, Troy, are you looking at any?
Let me just,
I'm
yeah,
sorry, this is unorthodox, but
It
we want to
is,
hear
but
from you.
I'm not a part of One Troy longer. I did help with the beginning steps
Okay.
of trying to get money for 7th Avenue Park. I would suggest that you guys contact someone from CEO.
Do you know when that next meeting is?
I'm sorry.
Do you know when that next meeting is, just for?
I can email you guys.
I'll find out.
I know they have, I'm a part of
We
the
can find
steering
out.
committee, but I'm no
I was just
longer
hoping for an
working
announcement, but that's fine, we can find out. Great.
We'll find out, and this is the first I've heard that Oakwood is not working with the folks in North Central, so thank you, and that's why we ask you to come up here and let us know what's going on. At least me, I always thought that was a good partnership,
We just
so.
call
Yes.
Council President.
Councilmember
Messiah back.
Kennedy.
Messiah, yeah, is there other sites? Is there a group that meets to look at potential
Right.
sites for community centers?
It's a perfect.
Or is it just an idea?
There's a building next door to the park.
Yeah, there's
a perfect
the
building that
vacant
sits right on the
building.
side of that park.
I know.
And now, for the life of me, if this
It's been up
council,
for sale for a while.
and yes, but right now, it might not be for sale, because the powers that be, to me, seems as though they wanted the prime piece of real estate for a community center in my neighborhood to get off the market. And if it's off the market, I say, go purchase it from the person that bought it, because it's the perfect place for a community center. There's no need to look for no other place.
I know right where you're talking. Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Messiah.
Messiah.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the council on anything happening in your neighborhood?
Good evening. I'm Anastasia Robertson.
Hi,
Troy, New York.
Anastasia.
Hi. It's good to be in front of you guys.
It's good to see you.
Thank you. I want to commend the council as always for acknowledging things like Black History Month. And, you know, I think that's wonderful. But at the same time, I also noticed that here in Troy, as much as we all love Troy, everybody doesn't love everybody. And what I'm trying to say, I guess, is this. The incident that occurred with Mr. McGrath, as unfortunate as it is, many of us just haven't been caught. And sadly, it's quite obvious, because when you look at certain things, like when you look at even the structure of our council, when I sat on the council, I was the second Black woman to sit on this Troy council. There had not been one before me for 14 years. I don't know how long the council's been in existence, but that's pretty sad. And we have a new election coming up, and the atmosphere is so negative, not necessarily y'all in particular, but I'm just saying the pervasive overall feeling when it comes to minorities wanting to run for different positions or being on different committees or extended invitations to different meetings. It's almost like it's a blackout.
Yes.
And even though we don't talk about it because we all want to wear rose-colored glasses, which is fine, except it hurts. And it hurts our city. It hurts me. And sadly, when this incident occurred with Mr. McGrath, I'm really sorry to have to say that I wasn't surprised, not from him, but I wasn't surprised that someone would be brought to the light. Because, like I said, it's that quiet, subtle blocking out of people. It's that quiet, subtle, just disengaging from people. We are really excited that the kayak's gonna open and all these other wonderful things, and I think that's great. That's awesome for the city, and that's also for some people of Troy. But it does nothing, literally nothing, zero, for the actual constituents, everyday people, and people of color, and people of other than white America, so to speak. And it hurts to live somewhere where every time you walk into a meeting or you walk into a room, the people that represent me, none of them look like me. And none of them make an effort to reach across or outside of the area that they're in to say, we need to be more inclusive. We need to be more diverse. We need to reach out to other folks. We need to say, if we're going to represent a city, that our city is not all white. I don't know where y'all got, everybody got that idea that it was an all white city. Because when you look at the representation, that's what it is. And that's sad, and it's scary. It's scary because a lot of it is done and we're not even paying attention. We're not even aware because it's the norm, and it shouldn't be. And for that reason, my heart hurts for the city of Troy. We've got the next council elections coming up. Nobody of color wants to run for this council. Do you know why?
They won't be heard.
That too. And it's sad, and it's really kind of disgusting. And I think it's a reflection of, I don't know what it's a reflection of. I know we've got to do something to make life better. We've got to find a way that if we're going to represent people, if we are going to speak to people's concerns, that we don't only look for what works for us. And it's so obvious in this city because all the money goes downtown. All the money, either if it's not going downtown, then it is going to something that does not help the people that you need to be helping the most. Your city is a reflection of who you are. If you have people in your city who are hurting and crying, then that says that something's not working. And it's the leadership's responsibility to be accountable for that. You can't do a budget and make no concessions for the people that hurt the most in your city. You just can't do it. You know, it's not a blame game. It's just maybe we need to wake up some more. We need to be a little more conscious. And I'm not talking just to y'all, I'm talking to everybody in here and anybody else that might listen to it later on the recording, I don't know. But as a world and as a community, we have got to do better. Kayaks are fun, but they don't do anything to help the homeless, to help the elderly, to help my neighbor whose house is falling down and can't find 2 cents to fix it. But we'll sell the building next to her to a developer to put more apartments. But we won't help her. You understand what I'm saying? You know, we have school taxes and property taxes that are outrageous. But our schools aren't up here. Our children aren't getting the best because nobody's really accountable for that. It's just, oh, well, that's how it is. Something has to change. And we definitely have to work on inclusion. That's a must. In order for our city to be successful, everybody has to be a part of the city. And we need to take off those rose-colored glasses and look at our own selves. Me too. And say, what can I do to make things just a little bit better? How can I reach out and help somebody that is not my normal next door neighbor? They say you want to know the content of somebody's character? Have a dinner. Invite people you don't normally sit with. Not your family, not your friends, not your boss. Invite the person down the street or around the corner or in the next district. Invite them to dinner and have a conversation. And you'd be surprised. You find out, guess what? We are human. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Anastasia. Thank you, Anastasia. I believe Anastasia, before you, I think I served Christine Roberts was the council member.
Stone.
Or Stone, thank
Stone.
you, Christine Stone. Thank you, thank you.
Hi, it's hard to go after Anastasia and Messiah, but my name is Luz Mike Esbimbo, and I am here to speak on behalf of the Justice for Dami Committee. I will pass these out once I'm done. I'm a Troy resident. I'm actually your neighbor.
Hi, we've seen each other many times.
But we only talk when we're here.
Tell us that I said hello.
I will tell them. So happy Black History Month. And I was looking at our notes as the Justice for Dami Committee, and we literally came before you almost a year ago, and will be a year in April. We're expressing our support for holding McGrath accountable for his racist statement, and we know that this will send a long overdue message to the leadership of Troy that racism will no longer be tolerated in our city. Additionally, though, we stand firm with the rest of the country as they hold Me Too of all officials and business leaders and religious leaders and say no against sexism, heterosexism, classism. And we expect that all elected officials will also be held accountable should they use and participate in hateful speech as well as actions. I was going to quote Martin Luther King, and he has a quick quote that says that one must take a position at times that neither is safe nor politic nor popular, but it must be taken because it is the right thing to do. And we ask you again to please engage with the mayor's office so that we can actually have a civilian review board that has subpoena power. Not to be confused with a human rights commission and not to be confused with a community relations commission, but a civilian review board that would hold our law enforcement accountable. We presented with you last year a 10-point plan, which we still have, as to how that could happen. And yet we've never had anyone follow up with us from your offices or the mayor's office. We are back again urging you to please use your leadership. We know that while you may not have governance over such review board, you definitely have some leverage and power around ensuring the safety of not just some of us, but all of us. And that not only includes the Black community, but the Latino community that is very much growing in Troy. I'm gonna remind you, and this is painful, and I'm so sorry that I have to do this to some of you, and I don't mean to traumatize you, but this is what our children have to live with every day. On April 17th of 2016, Edson Thevian was shot and killed by Troy police in what should have been just a simple DWI stop. He was shot 7 times, and died. Then in August of 2017, Dominique McDonald, Messiah's nephew, a 22-year-old was shot twice and seriously injured by police for parole violation. The New York State Attorney General's office investigated the Edson Thevian case and revealed an extensive cover-up by the Troy Police Department and our former Rensselaer County District Attorney Joel Avila. The taxpayers in Troy spent over $250,000 in the past years to settle victims of police abuse. $250,000. Imagine if we took that money and reinserted it into the community, we would have a community center in North Central. In Mayor Madden's 2019 State of the City address, he talked about meetings with the Troy Pastoral Alliance and a representative from the Department of Justice. Initially, please know that we, members of the Justice for Dominique Committee, were part of those community discussions. But we have not received any follow-up as to whether they're still meeting or whether they ended. We've learned through Mayor Madden's State of the City address in 2019, that was just the other day, that they have a 6-point plan. And they are thinking about or forming a community relations board. Given that these are taxpayer dollars that allows the city to engage with the Department of Justice, which are also taxpayer dollars on the federal level, I think we need to see that 6-point plan. And I furthermore think that we need to understand what this community relations board is about. So where's the transparency and where's the accountability? We want to know. So as a Troy resident, and many of my colleagues, some are here, we've joined the growing cry of Black and Latino mothers across our country. This is not just happening in Troy, except that Troy presents what we think is a really groundbreaking analysis when the former district attorneys themselves were held accountable for covering something up, is sending a message that the police are not protecting all of us. And we have a problem when that occurs. And so we ask you to please ensure police accountability, community oversight, and an end to police violence. Like many of you, we love Troy, but we no longer want to continue giving this a blind eye. We're tired as Black, as Latinos, as immigrants, as LGBT, as disabled, as youth, as women. We are tired of being abused by law enforcement. So I thank you for your time, and I will pass these along, and I hope to hear from some of you and begin some discussion around how do we get a civilian review board that has subpoena power.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, I gave that to you before. I can give that to you once you all call me if you want to meet.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to speak before the council? Hi, Jerry.
Hello.
Hi.
So I was trying to stay quiet, but
That's okay.
yeah, I was trying to stay a
You
little
can't.
quiet.
Come on.
For those who don't know me, I'm Jerry Ford. I'm a deacon at United Ordained Church, the founder of Team Hero, and I'm also a homeowner in the city of Troy. And I care very much about this city because, you know, it's been such a blessing to me and my family. So real quick, two things. Toward the end of Dr. King's life, he posed a statement which said, where do we go from here? Chaos or community? During that time, there was a younger crowd that started to get a little bit restless because of the marching and the sit-ins, and they felt that things weren't going the way they wanted to. Hence came the Watts riots. And Dr. King had to step in and say, oh, we've made a lot of progress. So we want to, as a city, be assured that the progress, the things that people like Messiah, the things that the other people like myself and Billy Carter, the things that we're doing to, you know, to keep the city and the ones that are getting a little bit fed up, that there's progress being made. During those One Troy meetings, it was brought up, if I can recall right, we discussed trying to get that building right next to the park, but it wasn't for sale. And then as soon as those meetings concluded, all of a sudden a sign popped up that the building that the community wanted for their community center is now for sale. But when we inquired about it, it wasn't for sale. So I propose to you as the council that could someone really put a time stamp and say that we're going to look into this and come back to us with an answer, because that's what's needed for that community, which is ironically District 2, where Mark McGrath was, That can't be, this is so much, as they said. I want to, go back and forth with what they just said, but so much is happening right there on River Street. But you're talking about 2 streets over, it's Glen. 2 streets over is 6th Ave. 2 streets over is Ingalls. We can't do that. We can't continue to turn our back and look this way when the people are hurting on this side. We can't continue to do that. So I also want to let you know that this Saturday at the Troy Boys and Girls Club, we're going to have a Black History Month celebration. All of you are invited out to come. Our theme for that is community or chaos. Where do we go from here? That'll be this Saturday, February 9th, for Troy Boys and Girls Club, 1700 7th Avenue from 3 to 6. We invite you to come out so that we can start bringing our community and our city together, so there isn't 2 Troys. It doesn't need to be 2 Troys. We should all be together, an inclusive, diverse community where everybody in the city has the opportunity to thrive. Thank you.
Jerry, thank you very much, Jerry. Thank you, Jerry. Would anyone else like to address the council this evening?
I have a question.
Absolutely. Yes.
I just want to know, so in order to be a council person for District 2, what is the requirements? That's what I want to know. Besides, no, but I want them to tell me, besides from living here, what is the requirements to be?
You're a voting age citizen.
Okay.
So, and yeah, live between Hoosick Street and 111th Street, River Street, and Oakwood Ave, just for folks who don't know the boundaries of the district.
Right.
Then petitions. You somehow have to get your name on the ballot. If you're interested.
I'm very interested,
Yeah.
actually.
I would say, send your resume immediately. The vacancy's open. So
why do you need a resume? That's what I'm trying to figure out. I just want to know like the logistics about it, because I know I have to have the ballots and things like that, but I want to know what exactly you need. Is it a resume like I'm going for a job, or you need to know like the type of
like
person
for a job.
Why you're interested.
Yeah.
Okay.
But on 2 fronts.
That's not what I mean though. It is a job, but I've been doing this job for a while, even before asking this question. And I just got to say, the reason why I said I wasn't no longer a part of One Troy, I'm still a community resident of North Central Troy, so I'm gonna always forever be a part of One Troy, of the work that I personally was doing. But I'm no longer working, getting paid pretty much doing the work. I'm gonna continue to do it though as a volunteer because I live there.
Right, and on 2 fronts. So we have a vacancy in District 2, and I'm not sure exactly what the majority is looking at in terms of a time frame. That's why I tried tonight to get it rolling with the committee. But saying that, there's 4 members here tonight who control the votes on the council, 2 in the minority, but we all have a vote. I'm not sure when you're looking to fill the vacancy, and I had asked for a timeline earlier. I would say for the vacancy, send your resume to Mara ASAP, okay? Hopefully our interviews, Councilmember December, you jumped in and talked about the process. Are interviews happening soon? What?
You should just call the Board of Elections tomorrow, and they can give you a rundown of the timeline and the election calendar and what would be needed.
Well, that's separate from the vacancy.
She's talking about the vacancy
We're talking
right
about
now.
the vacancy.
I'm just saying now, like whenever.
Right now.
Yeah.
I think
So
you need
saying
to
that-
send a letter of intent. Just
Okay.
A letter of intent and a resume to the city.
Why you're
clerk.
interested?
Because we are.
Because I live
No,
there.
sorry, I'm not asking you.
Oh, I thought you were.
I know
why
you've got a lot of
I'm
reasons to be
interested.
interested. And I know you'd be very good.
So my suggestion, send just a letter while you're interested,
A quick
a
letter, just a
resume,
note.
just a note tomorrow, not tomorrow.
Can that be posted on the website? Cause I'm
Well,
quite sure
that's,
that.
exactly,
Okay.
that's why I'm asking the majority to open
Well,
this
you are the
process,
president, you
you
could
know.
also request the website to be updated.
I did, I actually
certainly will.
offered a committee this evening, but,
Not just for me,
unfortunately.
cause it's people that may be
In
curious, it's not here
district too.
tonight, right?
Council President,
Yes, thank you,
so the
Councilman.
four members of the Democratic majority, we caucused before this meeting.
Mhm.
And the very first thing we talked about was the unfortunate behavior of Councilman McGrath. And thankful for his resignation. If he didn't resign, we were going to force him out by virtue of the charter. But we said that what we want in that position is someone of color. We agreed on that. And we are actively encouraging people of color from North Central to come forward with their letter of intent.
Thank you.
And I'd like to add a piece just to say that,
Councilmember Gully?
I'd just like to say that your community service and the things you've done for Troy and your actions will fill that resume, and I think would be honored to have that resume in there.
Thank you.
Send it in ASAP, send it in. On that note, would anyone like to address the council? I just want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Obviously, I think the last week and a half for a lot of folks have been, a tough week and a half. And I want to thank all the folks that came out this evening. We look forward to working with you. I hope to fill that vacancy soon. Right now, District 2 is without representation, and we need that filled ASAP. So on that note, also on Sunday, in addition to Jerry's event on Saturday, Sunday is the rescheduled Martin Luther King at 4 o'clock at AME Zion. So Jerry, did you want to add anything? I saw you shaking your head.
It's actually at Bethel.
Or Bethel, I'm sorry, yes, Bethel Baptist. Yep, at 4 o'clock. Okay, so hopefully folks can come out on Sunday. Thank you very much, and on that note, I would take a motion to adjourn. Motion, Councilmember Gully, second Councilmember Kennedy, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Good night.